good morning to Nigerians.
Thank you very much. We also have joining us via Zoom from Lagos, Chief Eric Melfia, is President and CEO Erisco Foods Limited. Chief Eric Melfia, Erisco, as you are popularly called, pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, and then here with us in the Abuja studios, we'd like to also welcome Dr. Ken Ukoha, who's a lawyer and President, National Association of Nigerian Traders. Dr. Ukoha, I'd like to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Kinsley. Thanks, Nigerians.
Okay. All right, so let's begin the conversation with the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Hajia Zainab Ahmed. Honorable Minister, 16 months after Nigeria's land borders were closed, at least 4 of them have now been reopened, with a promise to reopen some others on or before December 31st. That's in under 10 days. The Nigerian government consider it appropriate at this time to reopen the borders? And if so, what was the signaling that warranted the decision?
Well, good morning, Cheryl. It's been a long time since the borders were opened. And also remember that the reason for opening the borders is to get Nigeria and its neighbors, Benin and Niger, to conform to protocols that were committed to under the ECOWAS liberalization scheme. So this border opening closure had helped us to come together as neighbors and actually on the 3 sides be able to respect those protocols. The border closure has helped us to reduce the incidence of the human trafficking, bringing of light arms, and also significantly reduce the practice of bringing in drugs into our country, as well as bringing in other goods and products that have negative impact in our economy. The border closure was not meant to be punitive to any of the economies of the 3 countries. We believe that the purpose that was intended to be achieved has been achieved, and also it's been negatively impactful on the economies of our neighbors, and it has also affected the Nigerian economy. Because let's remember that if you look at the economy of this region, 70% of it is the Nigerian economy. So Nigerian businesses also were affected by this border closure. And as we try to revive the economy and make sure that businesses stabilize and grow, we needed to have the borders open so that there will be free movement of trade against in and out of our country. And also to respect the ECOWAS liberalization protocols that we signed to, and the African Continental Free Trade Zone Agreement that we also assented to, which will take effect, by the way, 1st January 2021. We needed to have the borders open and also now put into practical use the discipline that has been acquired during this process. The joint patrol team between Nigeria and its neighbors is still in place, and we're all committed to continuing to work together. And the Nigerian Border Patrol team, which is a cross-section of key ministries, key agencies that have responsibility for border control, are also asked to remain together and continue the work the way they have been doing it. But also, as we announced, that the ban on importation of rice still subsists, the ban on importation of poultry still subsists, and the ban of all banned products and items still subsist, because we still have the overarching responsibility to protect Nigerian businesses, even as we have a responsibility to allow movement of goods in and out of our country. So we believe this will be useful for the Nigerian economy, that it will help businesses that have been impacted because they are not able to bring in either their inputs or take out their products to our neighboring countries. It will also help to make business of the ports and the land borders a lot much easier than it has been. It will also improve the ease of movement of people across our borders, following the protocols that have been committed to by the three countries.
Honorable Minister, thank you. Without meaning to overlabor you, I'd like for you to maybe outline the principal reason for the border closure and what we have achieved or what we achieved within the period of closure so far.
Why was the border closed? The border was closed to enhance our capacity to curtail the prevalence of illegalities around our borders, and also to be able to positively impact key sectors of the Nigerian economy, especially the oil and gas sector, the agricultural sector, but also industry and a few others. The policy measures that have been taken have been proven to significantly curtail the activities of smugglers, the regular movement of immigrants, and also to curtail the coming into our country of different types of criminality, and especially small arms. This border closure has also helped us to be able to work more closely with the land border communities, and also the marine border routes have the people are living around the marine border routes. The overriding benefits of the effect or the effectiveness of the border control to economic development and national security is very, very significant. But it's significant, but it's the importance of it has to do with the importance of the sovereignty of our country, because our country was threatened by a lot of this illegal and irregular movements across our borders. The benefits that have been achieved, initially we had seen some surge in terms of revenues collections by the Nigerian customs, but that went down because that was never the intention, it was just consequences. But there was significant reduction in the imports of, in the illegal entry of people, illegal entry of small arms, and especially illegal entry of drugs, illicit drugs that is causing a lot of havoc to our country. We have produced, the president set up a committee which I chair with my colleagues, ministers of foreign affairs, interior, and trade, industry, and investment, but also immigration and the Nigerian Customs Service. And our advice to Mr. President is that these borders should be open, that the purposes for which the borders were closed have been largely achieved, and also that we needed to respect the ETLS protocols, the ECOWAS protocols that we committed to on free movement of trades, and also that the AFCFTA is coming on stream in 1st of January, and we have also assented to it, which means we've committed to have our borders open. And remember that Nigeria is the most industrialized region within this ECOWAS scheme. And we have up to about 2,500 indigenous companies with about 7,000 products. And the estimate that is made is about 60% of the total number of companies under the scheme have been affected by this border closure. So we needed to have these borders open so that businesses can go back to operating more normally, and we recommended Mr. President to have, first of all, agree that the four major land borders be opened, and they have been opened already, but that by 31st of December, all of the remaining borders need to be open. But also we are going to intensify the diplomatic efforts that we have been undertaking to make sure that there are there's no undue strain between ourselves and our borders, and that the joint border patrol teams that we have with our neighbors remain operational and functional, as well as that each of the three countries has committed to enforcing the conditions that have been agreed prior to the reopening of the borders. On our own part, we are sustaining the operation swift response, which is this joint interagency teams that we put together that will be continuously patrolling the borders, and also special effort to make sure that all major identified illegal borders are also manned and patrolled. We are using a technology that is called the meters to be able to process movement of goods and people across our country. And then also we're strengthening the government agencies that have this specific responsibility, and also supporting them with adequate funding so that they're able to carry out these joint border operations on an ongoing basis. Modern facilities is being provided to make sure that the control of the borders is not just manual, but that it's also automated. That we are going to be using drones and other security devices to be able to support the agencies that have this statutory responsibility to man the borders more effectively and more efficiently, and also to secure our country and preserve its sovereignty.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Finance. We're going to have to pause you now. We'll return to you in the course of the conversation. Let's come back now to our Abuja studios, where we allow introduce Dr. Ken Ukoha, President, National Association of Nigerian Traders. Ken Ukoha, of course, has been
Minister of Finance, who, of course, we will soon have to let go. Honorable Minister, I'm sure you want to respond to the issues Chief Larisco and Dr. Ken Ukoha said earlier on, but also with you, is there any binding and enforceable agreement now between the countries involved?
Let me start from that last point that you raised before I respond to the issues of the requirement to publicize the report, the detailed report of the assessment of the border closure. During this process, we have had several engagements with different international stakeholders, and what we put to our neighbors and the reason for the closure, and also the what needed to be attained for the opening of the border, is that we required Benin and Niger republics to adhere to the ETLS protocols, that the World Trade Organization's rule of origin on goods must be respected, and that the Nigerian government will no longer tolerate repackaging of third-party products or re-exporting them into Nigeria, that all warehouses along the buffer zones should be dismantled, including legal filling stations. And to this point, I can say on the side of Nigeria, this was done. On the side of our neighbors, it was partly done, and they have a commitment to make sure also this is complied to. But also packaging and of goods must conform to acceptable standards, and goods in transit, as indicated earlier on, must be escorted to the designated border points by the customs officials and security officials and handed over to the Nigerian officials. So these are some of the things that we've been able to elicit from our neighbors as commitments, which they have promised to comply with. And like I said earlier on, we still have this tripartite border patrol teams of the three countries. They will still be working together and will continuously monitor the report of the monitoring that they are doing. The reports of the assessment of the impact of the border closure, the reason why the border was closed, what has been achieved, including details of goods that have been seized, people that have been apprehended, is encapsulated in the detailed report of the committee. So what we'll do is, I have the report is actually published, but we will place it on the website of the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, the Customs, and also we'll also ask our colleagues to publish it on their website so that it will be easy for the public to obtain, because it won't be easy to have everyone have a copy of the printed report. So it's a detailed report. What we released to the public was just a summary, but there is a detailed assessment of even the disciplinary actions that have had to be taken on officers that have been found wanting during these drills. Some officers have gone through the disciplinary process of their own organizations. I know that the Nigerian Customs Office has had to even dismiss some officers. There are some that are going to go through trials as a result of activities that they had undertaken that was found negative to the assignments that they have been given to do.
On the support of manufacturers, Honorable Minister, just before you go, Chief Erisco raised the issue of manufacturers and lack of support to indigenous manufacturers to be able to meet up with the demand for food items and manufacturing of other products.
Mr. Erisco, I hear you loud and clear. It means from the response that you're providing that perhaps what we've done is not enough. But there are a pocket of funding and quite reasonable concessionary funding at 5% that have been set up for manufacturers to access. We hear reports of difficulties or challenges by manufacturers in accessing this financing. On the part of government, that's through the monetary authority, through the central bank intervention financing efforts. But on the part of government, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is currently providing grants to very small businesses that we call, under a scheme that we call a survival fund. So it's grants that is helping industry, small businesses to pay salaries, but also to be able to reinvest in their businesses. But these are very small businesses. For the medium size and the large businesses, we're asking them to access the loans that are provided through NIRSA and through the Central Bank of Nigeria. The CBN is using the development finance institutions, for example, BOI to give out some of these facilities, but also Bank of Agriculture and in a lot of cases, commercial banks. So we have to step back and look at what is happening in terms of access to those financing, who is accessing them and who is unable to access them, and the reasons why they are not able to access them. So if it is the demand for collateralization that they need to meet that is tedious, we will now have to engage the monetary authorities to relax some of these measures so that more and more of these businesses access financing.
All right, on that note, we'd like to thank you, Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Hajia Zainab Ahmed. We thank you for your time with us on the program this morning. And indeed, for the other guests, at the beginning we had said that we had two topics. So we're going to have to take a short break now, and before we get on to the second topic. It's a very important issue, that's to say the border reopening, and I'm sure going forward we'll have the opportunity of returning to the same subject matter. On that note, Ambassador Ayo Olukone, who is Director General of NASIMA, joined us via Zoom from Lagos. We appreciate your comments. And Chief Eric Umofia Erisco also joined us via Zoom. We'd like to appreciate you for being with us on the program this morning. And here in the Abuja studios, a deep thanks to Dr. Ken Ukoha, lawyer and president of the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Traders. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
You'll be, of course, monitoring the situation to see